Beneath the ordinary world lies a veil, and behind it, the voices of the lost still whisper.
We are your guides into the shadows, where true crime meets the paranormal.
From chilling crimes to haunted histories, we uncover the stories that refuse to rest.
This is Veil of Echoes.
Imagine the dead of winter, snow piled high against the trees, the air so cold it burns your lungs. Food is scarce. You've been trapped in the forest for weeks, and starvation gnaws at your body. But in the distance, something is watching. A towering figure, gaunt and skeletal. Its eyes glowing in the dark. It moves with the creak of frozen branches. Its heart is made of ice. Its hunger can never be satisfied. This is the Wendigo. Tonight, we step into one of North America's most chilling legends, a spirit of greed, hunger, and survival. Through its story, we'll explore folklore, psychology, real encounters, and the shadows it still casts across modern culture. Because some monsters don't just live in the woods. Some live in us.
Before we begin, a quick warning. Tonight's episode contains themes of cannibalism, disturbing folklore, and historical accounts of violence. Listener discretion is advised.
The Wendigo comes from the traditions of the Algonquian-speaking people, Cree, Ojibwe, Innu, and others whose lands stretch across the northern forests of Canada and the Great Lakes. For these communities, winter wasn't simply a season, it was survival itself. When the lakes froze and the snow blocked travel, food supplies dwindled quickly. Starvation was not a distant possibility. It was a constant shadow. It was in the landscape that the Wendigo emerged. A story, yes, but also a warning, a reminder of the dangers of hunger and greed.
Descriptions of the Wendigo vary, but most agree on its appearance. A gaunt, emaciated figure. Skin stretched over bones, lips torn, sometimes frozen to its teeth. Its body elongated, distorted by starvation, and above all, an endless appetite for human flesh. But here's what made the Wendigo so chilling. It wasn't always a monster you stumbled across in the woods. Sometimes it is what you became.
Because according to the legend, if a person broke the ultimate taboo, resorting to cannibalism to survive, they risked transforming into a Wendigo themselves, their humanity stripped away, leaving only hunger.
And that's what gave the Wendigo story its power. It wasn't just about fear of the forest. It was about fear of ourselves. The Wendigo represented imbalance. Taking more than you need, betraying your community for survival or greed. It was both punishment and mirror, reminding people that survival had to be communal and never selfish.
Maybe that's why the Wendigo still lingers. Because while the hunger for flesh may not haunt us today, the hunger for more wealth, more power, and more control never seems to go away. So what do you guys think? Are legends like the Wendigo born out of survival, or do you believe they came from real encounters with something out there in the woods?
I think it came from real encounter. I mean
yeah. Because, back then they weren't searching on the web. These weren't just things they found out there. This was stuff they were writing down as it was happening, legends that were being told in the making. And
kind of like for me, like you think of zombies and the Yeti and stuff. How did they come up with these stories?
Right.
Like, where did they come from? What did somebody think of doing? Like, oh, hey, I'm going to make this creature look tall and skinny and stretch its skin.
Well, that, and it's already in their head, like...
Yeah.
I do believe our imagination stretched the boundaries to make the legends a little more something than what they were, but they came from an observation, not just a dream. Somebody didn't just wake up, it's like, I'm going to have nightmares and nightmare everybody else for the rest of their life about this Wendigo beast that just eats people out of nowhere.
Yeah, I'm going to have a nightmare about this thing, and then here, I'm going to spread it around to everybody else. Here we go.
Exactly.
It's like Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking of that.
I mean, if
It's
you
just
think
like-
about it,
Wendy
your
Cougar.
conscience, you know?
they look the same, too.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Freddy compared to a Wendigo.
Freddy would look a little more creepy if he had that kind of stretched out instead of the burns. I mean, I know it goes with his story, but
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
the Wendigo's nightmare fuel. Freddy, he could be creepy, but he's more funny, comical.
It's more funny because it's a person, whereas this thing's a creature, and it's like,
I'm the Wendigo, bitch.
let me stalk you in the shadows type.
Yeah, seeing
You
him in the
know.
trees.
Yeah, like sitting up in a tree like a fucking hawk or something, looking down.
It sounds stalking.
I could
Yes.
only imagine that.
Yeah. But in the 19th and early 20th century, European settlers and missionaries began recording cases of what they believed was something called Wendigo psychosis. It was described as a terrifying disorder, a sudden craving for human flesh, even when other food was available. Sometimes people said to suffer from it would beg to be killed before they harmed their families. Imagine that desperation, pleading for death, convinced you were turning into the very creature your community feared.
One of the earliest written cases comes from French Jesuit missionaries in the 1600s. They described a man in New France who confessed he was plagued by visions of hunger and flesh. He told them he feared he was becoming a Wendigo. The missionaries, viewing his words through the lens of possession and sin, executed him, convinced they were saving both his soul and the community from danger. And this wouldn't be the last time fear ended in execution. Colonial records mention multiple suspected cases where individuals were put to death, not just to cure them, but to protect those around them from a hunger believed to be contagious. But here's the unsettling question. Was he truly afflicted by something beyond himself? Or did fear, his own and theirs, drive him to believe it?
You know, that's a good question. I'm gonna firmly stand on he was truly afflicted by something.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There's I don't know where the fear's coming in at, but
Well, it
I
could also
mean-
been like he could have been suffering from mental illness too.
like bro's schizophrenic, paranoid, multiple personality disorder.
Because he was plagued by visions of hunger and flesh.
I'm gonna say multiple personality disorder because if you're gonna say you're also a Wendigo, that's gonna be a whole separate personality for you. There's no medication for that.
I mean, by the words of his own confession to the Catholic Church, that definitely seems like a possession.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, he obviously believed that he was a Wendigo.
And you know what? If he wanted to believe that, let the man believe it. Maybe I'll believe I'm a Wendigo one of these days. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know what's interesting.
Modern anthropologists caution us here. Many argue that Wendigo psychosis wasn't a real psychiatric condition at all, but a colonial misunderstanding, or even a deliberate distortion of indigenous spiritual beliefs. Think about it. Western missionaries already believed in demonic possession. So when they heard stories about the Wendigo, it was easier for them to frame it in terms they understood as a kind of madness or even evil. Some scholars have compared Wendigo psychosis to what we now call culture-bound syndromes, conditions that may not exist everywhere, but are deeply real within the context of a community's beliefs. And others argue it was never a condition at all, but a way outsiders explain behavior they didn't understand.
And that's where the Wendigo becomes more than just a monster. It's also a metaphor, because whether or not anyone was truly possessed, the story gave people a language for destructive hunger. Hunger for flesh, yes, but also hunger for wealth, power, or escape. We still see echoes of it today. Corporations devouring land and resources, addictions that hollow people out until they're unrecognizable, even the way greed drives societies to consume far more than they ever need. That's a kind of a Wendigo too. Hunger without end.
So, was Wendigo psychosis ever real? Or was it simply an echo of a deeper truth? That unchecked appetite, in any form, can consume us all.
I'm going to say it's real.
Yeah.
I mean,
Money is one of the most evil things, you know?
That's what everyone fights over.
Everyone.
Family, friends, acquaintances. It's always money. It's money, money this, money, money that.
Or power.
And most people who are starving have no money.
Yeah. I mean...
So is it starvation or is it greed?
I'm going with the greed, not...
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, that's the biggest thing. Like, you can starve all you want, but the greed is going to be the number one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because, you can be hungry, but...
But to drive you to do something...
Right.
That's going to be your greed.
So, I guess technically Wendigos is still a thing today.
Yeah. Look at the world today.
Yeah.
Or
everything.
Look at Albert Fish. He talked about he starved. He wanted flesh. He wanted to eat children. He didn't want just normal meals. He was driven to eat it. That was his passion.
Yeah.
Let me eat a 9-year-old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Albert Fish. Yeah, he's a good example.
Yeah, would that be considered Wendigo psychosis? Someone who's driven and hunger for flesh and confesses that that's what they hunger for and...
Well, yeah, because he's kind of being selfish because eat the food that's out there already. You don't have to sacrifice a poor child.
But here, let me look at this child and say, let me put some ketchup on that.
So there again, that seems another greed over hunger. He was being selfish because he could have chose something else, but instead he chose to take the life of a child and eat them.
Exactly.
Bro's fucked up.
It says both ways. Depending on how deep you get into either one, you can have Wendigo psychosis or become a Wendigo.
Yeah.
I think I would like to become a Wendigo, except for I want to be the Wendigos from Until Dawn.
Yes.
Those are the creepiest ones out there.
Those are creepy.
Strength, speed, hearing, sight.
Yeah, everything's like...
Enhanced.
It's enhanced by like 3,000, and you see those things in there, and it like actually gives you the heebie-jeebies, where some of these descriptions of it, it's like, oh, it's a dude that's skinny with a skull, like, from a fucking deer on its head.
Yeah, the ones from Until Dawn are creepy.
Yeah, the ones from Until Dawn are the ones that need to be talked about more. Need to be used out in more horror movies.
I'm just thinking, because they're always starving, yet they always remain skinny. Is that, I guess, part of the greed? Cause no matter how much they eat,
can never contain their hunger. It's constant. It's always
Yeah.
there. They can't contain that.
That's a good way to put into how society is nowadays, too.
It really hits the nail on today's society.
Oh, yeah.
It's nothing but fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While stories of psychosis fascinated outsiders, history gave the Wendigo a face. Perhaps the most infamous case was that of Swift Runner. Swift Runner was a Cree man, a former Hudson's Bay Company guide, someone who had worked alongside traders and knew the land well. But in the winter of 1878, starvation closed in on his family. When he finally emerged from the woods, people discovered the unthinkable. Swift Runner had killed and eaten his wife and children. Confronted, he claimed the Wendigo had possessed him, driving him to the act.
I feel like, you know how people say, oh, the devil made me do it?
That's basically what they're doing here. It's the same thing. Oh, the Wendigo made me do it. No, you might as well just say Lucifer made you do it.
No.
I mean, I can see telling and saying that the Wendigo did it just because it's coming from the same standpoint of what Satan comes from. But at the same time, it's just... I don't think that's something that you can really use.
Yeah.
I believe it was his only defense because in that time it was a popular belief that that's exactly what was happening in those conditions to that type of people in his situation. People that were stuck, people that were starving, and people that had no other choice.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
What shocked many as the swift runner lived just 25 miles from a Hudson's Bay trading post, stocked with food and supplies. Instead of seeking help, he isolated himself. Some believe that in the silence and desperation, the Wendigo found him. Neighbors and investigators described his behavior as chillingly calm. He didn't deny what he'd done. Instead, he insisted he was under the spirit's influence, that dreams, whispers, and visions compelled him. At his trial, testimony revealed that he seemed almost resigned, convinced his fate was sealed. He was hanged in 1879, and his case became one of the most widely retold stories in Wendigo lore, the moment a man transformed into a very monster his people had always feared.
That kind of reminds me of the witch hangings, too.
Yeah. The Salem witch trials and how they,
Minimal evidence?
yeah.
Wasn't right at all.
It's kind of like that movie that Nicolas Cage did with Ron Perlman, Season of the Last Witch.
Oh, I love that. I love that movie, Season of the Witch.
I mean, the beginning of it literally shows the 3 women being hung.
Just because, I don't know, they were treated awful.
They were all treated awful for no apparent
this guy
reason.
Too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean...
He was like, here, I ate my family.
Definitely he needs to be punished for that, but...
Yeah, I ate my family. What are you guys going to do? Well, we're going to tie you to a tree and let you fall off the tree.
Yeah, because, 25 miles, no one wants to do that, but if he was a man of the land and that was his job and he knew the route, then he probably could have knocked it out and been back in time to save everybody from starvation. But
yeah.
Instead, he chose a different route, greed, becoming hunger.
And Swift Runner's case wasn't the only one. As early as the 1600s, Jesuit missionaries in New France wrote about men who claimed that they were becoming Wendigos. In one record, a man was executed after confessing he was overwhelmed by visions of flesh and the hunger. Now, in some communities, suspected cases were taken so seriously that individuals were killed before they could harm others. Not out of cruelty, but as a desperate form of protection. Fur traders, too, described eerie encounters in their journals, stories of figures seen moving at the tree line, camps suddenly abandoned in fear of spirit attacks. Whether these were starvation-born hallucinations or encounters was something beyond explanation. They gave the Wendigo a permanent place in the collective memory of the northern forests.
And that's what makes these stories so haunting. Was Swift Runner truly possessed? Or was he a man consumed by hunger and despair, his culture's legends giving shape to what he couldn't understand? And what about those other reports? Did people truly see a gaunt figure stalking the woods? Or was it the mind, breaking under starvation, shadows turning into monsters? Either way, the echoes remain. A man becomes a monster, and the Wendigo stepped out of the legend and into history.
What's scarier to you? The idea of a spirit whispering in the forest, or the reality of that hunger alone can turn someone into a killer?
Probably the hunger turning someone into a killer. Right?
I'm going to say the whispering of a spirit, only because I've had that happen to me.
I just feel like humans can be more dangerous, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I'm on the fence. What's the spirit whispering?
But that's true.
That's my thing. What's the spirit saying, or what is it doing? And
like if he's whispering feed into the hunger, then it seems it's all against me.
Yeah. It's kind of a lose-lose situation if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's really no option's going to be better than the other. They both are shit.
Yeah, that's a fence one. You know, just stay on balance, and whichever one you fall into, I wish you the best of luck.
I mean, I guess if you're that desperate I don't know. I just can't see myself being starved to death and wanting to eat a human, but I guess...
I mean, if you got to do what you got to do.
See, that's the whole thing, though. I'm just want to know, like, is the spirit whispering trying to possess me, or is I'm just hearing spirits in the forest?
Right.
Because if I'm just hearing them, I'm fucked up. I don't want to do that either, but...
I feel like possession would be my biggest thing.
Yeah. That's my whole question. It just all depends on, I mean, I know I don't really want to break this down, but where the standpoint is of what the spirit's whispering. Are they just whispering like, or are they like, come to me, you dumb bitch? Yeah, like, what? That's the only point I'm not sure, because nobody wants to be a killer, and you definitely don't want to be a cannibalistic, well, unless you're Albert Fish. You don't want to be a cannibalistic killer, and...
Or Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yes.
I was about ready to say, how many serial killers eat people nowadays?
Or did.
Even did, past tense.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird how people look at it and say, oh, you see that woman over there that's got that nice flesh? I think that's going to taste good.
Well, to this day, there's still cannibalistic tribes that have nothing to do with the modern world, so people who disappear onto there with adventurous feelings are gone. You're eating.
You ain't coming back.
That one guy who, I don't even know his name.
Sad. I don't either, but the journalist who thought he would go over there and communicate with him.
Oh, yeah. The whole thing with the totem poles over there, too, how he wanted to take one of those, and they thought that was very disrespectful, and he was like, I was hoping to get one, and they're like, well, guess what now, buddy? Yeah. You're going to be our barbecue Sunday.
You have to respect other people's culture.
Exactly. Like, not only the culture, but for one, they're cannibals. What do you think you're going there for? You're either being eaten or you're eating someone. So one way or another, you're probably not leaving.
Well, and have you seen the pictures of him in their boat and how they're just like, yes. We know you're going to be our meal tonight.
Yeah,
it's
all of them smiling. Him smiling, too. I'm like...
It's like, man. Dude, you should not be smiling in this picture because you are not smiling for the right reason.
Like, I know it's all hindsight, but you had to have some kind of eerie feeling.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, it's cool that you got to go and see the tribe, but you
But
should have just seen the tribe and left instead of saying,
don't want their culture being exposed.
Study from a distance.
Exactly.
You know?
Like, I would have just went to the shore and been like, hi, bye.
I wouldn't say it's they don't want their culture exposed. It's just they don't want to expose themselves to our culture, and they rather their kids stay the way it's going, more
kind of under
minimalistic
radar.
And everything under the radar, not really have to do with this modern life. They don't have to depend on technology and stuff like that. They make their own fires, they make their own weapons still, and that's awesome. But
really.
Yeah, they haven't had to.
But the only thing about that self-efficiency is they got to turn to cannibalism to feed off of it. Like, there's no way by this time. Some of them are on indigenous islands, meaning whatever's there is there. Once you run out of that resource, it's not coming back. So only other options you have is to either birth new babies and eat those, or as those babies come in, you eat the old. Or, as this unlucky fella, you eat one of the crazy people who decide to travel there.
I have a feeling that it would go as in they would eat the elders first because they know they're going to be the next in line to go.
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't know how.
But how old though? I mean,
I'm going to say 55 and up.
I know I'm not planning on no cannibalistic stuff, but I was just wondering, like, do you think there's a point they're like, we don't want, you're a little too old, we don't want to.
It's like the Verizon plan, 55 and up.
They probably don't care as long as they don't have any.
That's what I feel like. I think it just depends on who's the unlucky soul that week or that night. Or
oh, Grandma passed away. Damn it.
That's another thing. Like,
get the barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
Not that I'm planning on being a cannibal, but they're just eating this meat. How do they know? Like, how do they test it to see if it's good or bad? They're just risking that too. Like, these people die. You don't know what they're dying of because you have no part of modern culture. So what if they have a disease that we don't know about? And you're like, oh, let's just fucking.
Yeah. They just want that. They just want the flesh. That's all they care about.
It's something.
Yep. They're just like,
But then, is being a cannibalistic tribe like that, like generational taught, learned stuff, how doesn't that blend into being like a Wendigo, into that folklore, and how does that whole group of people, not just a fucking savage Wendigos running around wherever they're from?
Yeah.
They'd still be eating each other, and then eventually there'd be still just one, but it'd be one giant Wendigo because, I mean, they grow with consumption.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that. Mind equals blown.
Mm-hmm.
As with so many indigenous stories, the Wendigo eventually crossed into Western horror. And like most legends that make that jump, it didn't stay the same. One of the earliest written versions appeared in Algernon Blackwood's 1910 short story, The Wendigo. It followed a hunting party stalked through the Canadian wilderness by an unseen terror, bringing the legend into English literature. From there, the Wendigo spread into films, television, comics, and games.
In the 1999 film Ravenous, cannibalism becomes a dark allegory for power and corruption. The idea that consuming flesh makes you stronger, but at the cost of your humanity. But one of the most chilling pop culture versions, at least for me, comes from the 2015 video game Until Dawn. In that story, the Wendigo curse isn't just a background detail, it drives the entire tragedy. The Washington sisters' storyline mirrors the old folklore almost exactly. After their fall, Beth is killed instantly, but Hannah survives. Trapped in the mine, starving and waiting for rescue that never comes, she finally makes the unthinkable choice. She eats her sister's body. And by crossing that line, she becomes a Wendigo. The game makes you live that horror, forcing you to question what would you have done to survive in that circumstance. And then, of course, there's supernatural. For so many fans, myself included, that was their very first introduction to the Wendigo. It's only the second episode of season 1, but it set the tone for the whole series. In the show, Sam and Dean hunt a Wendigo that stalks campers deep in the woods. It's presented as this ancient predator, fast, intelligent, and terrifyingly human in origin. What made it stick was how they showed the Wendigo's history. A person who resorted to cannibalism and was cursed to wander the earth, haunting forever. It wasn't just a mindless monster. It was once human. That detail gave the story its weight, and honestly, it made the Wendigo even scarier.
And that's what Supernatural did so well. It brought old folklore into a modern setting, while keeping enough of the original meaning intact. Sure, it made the Wendigo a monster of the week, but it never lost the idea that this creature started as a person. And that's the part that chills me, because it means anyone could become one. And that's where the tensions lie. The more the Wendigo appears in pop culture, the less it resembles its roots. It becomes just another scary creature, stripped of its cultural depth. And then there's Marvel Comics. In their universe, the Wendigo has been reimagined as a hulking, white-furred beast cursed to stalk the Canadian wilderness. Its origins actually still tie back to the old taboo in the comics. Anyone who commits cannibalism in certain regions of Canada is doomed to become the Wendigo. From there, it's fought the Hulk, Wolverine, and even Canadian superhero team Alpha Flight. It's a far cry from the spiritual warning in Algonquian folklore, but it shows how deeply the Wendigo has embedded itself into pop culture. Not just in horror, but in mainstream superhero stories too. So here's the question. Do you think pop culture has kept the Wendigo alive? Or has it erased what the legend was truly meant to teach?
What do you guys think?
I mean, I think without pop culture, people wouldn't really know who the Wendigo was. Or like what he stands for.
Me too, because if it was left to just folklore, not very many people are sitting down telling their kids stories
Unless
about
it's
old
the
times anymore.
Algonquian folklore, because that's their
thing.
But how many of them are still around telling that story?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. People of our modern culture who even are related to that stuff back then probably weren't told those tales because being religious, they didn't think about, like, that was demons. They didn't know Wendigo. Like, that was demons.
Yeah.
Demons, the devil.
Mhm.
Demons, the devil. So to them, it was just another possession, like in that one case. But I'm not sure exactly.
I think the biggest thing has been the pulp culture, because if you didn't have pulp culture, like you said, Zach, nobody would know about it. I mean, you don't even know if the tribes are still around to tell those stories. And by the time they do tell the stories, it's not what it actually was.
Yeah, because I think pop cult, like anything, like the movies, they kind of exaggerate a bit.
I mean,
So-
any time Hollywood does any type of movie that's based off of a true story or based off of a legend, they are always going to add in stuff that never actually happened, or they're going to take stuff out that actually happened to replace it with the stuff that didn't happen.
And that's what makes it confusing. Like, what's the real part?
It makes it confusing, but I think that's their way of drawing people in to these horror movies and stuff. Because if you didn't have that, I mean, people really wouldn't be that excited.
Mm-hmm.
True.
They twist the tail and add the pop for the views.
Yeah.
Which
I
I get
mean-
it. I mean,
And that's just a Hollywood thing. I mean, it, just like the last Conjuring movie, people were complaining about it because some of the events that happened in it didn't actually happen.
exactly.
Well, you paid to go see the movie because you wanted to see the movie. That's what you're going to get from Hollywood. It's not, that's why they always say it's based on a true story.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they never say it is a true story. It's just based on it.
Yep.
Yeah, because, I mean, there's so many real-life events you could base movies off of and still throw a little pizzazz in to give it that viewership that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Well, just like it says here, the legend becomes entertainment, but when it was always something more.
Yeah, because it was meant to teach a lesson not to be greedy, and they, even in your deepest moments of greed, you know, hold out, don't resort to cannibalism.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's why it's important to listen to how the story is told today, by the voices it belongs to. Today, the Wendigo continues to live in Indigenous storytelling, but the way it's told often reflects modern struggles. For some, the Wendigo has become a metaphor for colonialism itself, a force that consumes land, resources, and lives without end. It never stops taking, never stops devouring. Others use it to describe environmental destruction, the endless hunger of industrial society, swallowing forests, water, and even in the air we breathe. Anthropologist Nathan Carlson once wrote that the Wendigo is the ultimate contradiction of humanity, a warning of what happens when we take without limit, when consumption replaces balance.
And not every nation tells this story the same way. Among the Cree, Innu, Ojibwe, and others, the Wendigo carries different forms and meanings. Some describe it as a towering skeletal figure, others, spirit of winter. Some even say it's less about the body and more about the hunger itself. That diversity is part of its strength. The Wendigo isn't a singular monster. It's a living tradition, retold across generations, always adapting to new challenges. To reduce it to one Hollywood image strips away its richness. In Basil Johnson's writings, he emphasizes that the Wendigo was never meant to be just a campfire scare. It was a sacred lesson, one that loses power if told without respect.
So if the Wendigo fascinates you, the best thing we can do is listen. Listen to the voices of the communities that carry it. Because the Wendigo doesn't just teach fear. It teaches balance, respect, and responsibility. And those lessons aren't old. They're not relics. They're exactly what we need today in a world that's still struggling with greed, imbalance, and hunger that never seems to end.
So if the Wendigo represents imbalance, greed, and overconsumption, do you think we're living in a time where the Wendigo is more relevant than ever?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Especially 2025.
Oh,
most
yeah.
definitely.
Everywhere.
I mean, that could really be applied
There's-
to this day and age.
There's just too many people out there consuming, over-consuming.
From families to friends to the government, it's
Well, and corporations,
Everything.
like,
Religion.
yeah.
Look at Festus in the last few years here. Bam. Got apartments out of nowhere. Got another building out of nowhere.
Yeah.
They threw up 3 or 4 buildings, an apartment complex, and a whole other side of the highway. There's 2 restaurants, a physical therapy, a little law firm, and that hasn't been maybe 5 years since 2020. They started on one of them, and I think it was KFC, and
Yeah.
Yep.
here we are, and we have got to be close to a little over about $20 million worth of buildings and stuff.
Oh, yeah, it all
Yeah.
comes down to...
That
Oh.
all comes down to the green paper.
It's
Exactly.
funny how fast it comes up when it's something we didn't really need, but every time it's something we need, like the highway, here we are months later, and like, I know it's hard work, but the traffic is killing me.
The traffic's ridiculous right now.
Just leave it how it was. I don't understand. Whatever.
I think when I was on my way here, I took 21 to A so I could miss 55 because I was like, I'm not
That's
taking
awful.
55. No, I'm not doing that. And a lot of people are starting to do the same thing.
And those stupid roundabouts. What is the purpose of those stupid roundabouts?
Yeah, 'cause that messed 61 up both ways.
Traffic flowing.
Well,
It does not keep
makes
traffic
me
flowing.
mad.
It keeps people, oh, here, I'm going to stop because I don't know who has the right of way.
Then you look like a deer in the headlights, and then you're starting to go off on the other person.
That's exactly
yeah,
how
you're
I
just
hit
sitting there
them.
like, what?
I hit them
Yeah.
just like that. Huh?
What? Do you not know how to...
You'll come my way?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I go now?
I mean, I guess I understand where they use the Wendigo,
The story and the
appearance
tale?
to make it scary, so then you can you're becoming that.
Yeah, 'cause some people are like, oh, I'm just going to be hungry all the time. Like, yeah, but you don't understand this. This is a hunger you cannot crave. You're going to starve. But the only thing is, you're not going to die. You're going to consistently feel the pain of hunger until you can't take it no more. But the problem is, you can't just kill yourself. You have to go feed. And that's what gets it worse.
Damn, that was deep.
Yeah,
That was deep.
that makes sense.
You really hit the ball on that one. That was deep.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
Zach over here bringing up the deep ends of the conversation.
I agree.
So what do we make of the Wendigo? Was it a creature stalking the frozen woods? A spirit of warning? Or was it always a reflection of our own hungers and fears? Maybe the Wendigo was never just one thing. Spirit and shadow, story and sickness, a hunger that takes shape whenever it feeds.
And that's what makes you wonder. Do legends last because of the monster or because of the mirror they hold up to us? The Wendigo warns of endless appetite, of forgetting balance, of taking until nothing remains. Maybe that's why the story still echoes today. Because even in the creature never steps from the trees, the hunger it speaks of has never gone away. And that concludes the episode of Veil of Echoes. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app. And if you can, leave us a review. It helps more listeners step through the veil with us. And if you'd like to keep the conversation going, follow Veil of Echoes podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.
Next time, we leave the frozen forest behind and travel to 1970s California, where the highway stretched long and a giant of a man drove with secrets darker than anyone could imagine. On Friday, September 26th, we face Ed Kemper.
He was charming, intelligent, even a drinking buddy of the police. But behind the wheel, he became the co-ed killer, the gentle giant who turned predator, Ed Kemper.
And with a case that blurs the line between brilliance and brutality, will take you beyond the headlines and through the veil. Until then, keep your ears open.
And the veil closed.